Good day and welcome to this Focus on Special with myself, Reda. Today we're talking about digital payments and specifically digital payments in Africa. McKinsey has predicted that by 2025 there will be an increase in the market of 152%. COVID has already seen an increase of 50% of digital payments. It does beg the question, what opportunities lies in Africa for international investors? I am joined today by Dr. Reda Helal, Group Managing Director for Processing in Africa for Network International, to unpack this more with me. Dr. Reda, welcome.
Good morning. Pleasure to be here.
On that note, let's get an understanding as to who and what Network International is.
Brilliant. Let me start from the beginning. We started in 1994 in Dubai as a small operation serving one bank. Today we are looking at 50 countries. We exist in. We have more than 220 banks, financial institutions, fintech and MNOs spread across Middle East and Africa. We are pretty much focused on the Middle East and Africa and only Middle East and Africa. All our resources resides within Middle East and Africa. All our investment is injected within Middle East and Africa. And what that gives us, it gives us an edge to provide an end-to-end complementary ecosystem to support the digital payment space from an issuer processing perspective and from an acquiring perspective.
Now, I understand that you've invested over 500 million in Southern Africa alone. What does the return of that investment look like? Because I can imagine it's more than just I'm coming in here with my technology. There's other resources around that.
Absolutely. And to give you the context, let me start by how we operate first. So we operate under the hub and spoke approach, which means that I create hub in my regional presence, where in Africa I have 5 hubs. I have in Egypt to support North Africa, I have in Kenya to support East Africa, I have in Nigeria and Ghana to support West Africa Anglophone, I have in Abidjan to support the Francophone, I have in South Africa to support the Southern Africa region. So throughout these 5 hubs, I'm able to support every single country exists, and that means I have the technology stack, I have the resources, technology, operation, finance, data, analytics, advisory, business teams, everything required to support the ecosystem. Coming to South Africa, today we are celebrating the launch of our best-in-breed technology, our platform, which we have started the journey earlier this year when we have declared the investment of 500 million rand to start with. That gave us an opportunity to expand our presence. So during the course of this year, we have expanded a couple of times our physical office location due to the number of resources we started to onboard, also increasing the solutions that is available for our local and regional players, and that in return enable us to serve our clients better, to provide more innovative digital solution and be closer and more relevant to the local economies and to the local communities where we care the most about.
Now, I'm also to understand that you're going to invest, you touch on it, you're going to invest another 60 million by 2024.
Yes.
What exactly are you investing?
So technology pretty much is about the platform, about what the platform gives you. It gives you the resilience, the agility. So part of the new investment is to ensure that our uptime is 99.9995%. We had in the last 5 years, touch wood, 0 downtime. The new investment will enable us to do 3 things. Number 1, the switch will complement the existing platforms that we have, the latest. We are upgrading our BBBEE, which sits at 4 today. Before the end of the year, it will be 2. And that means that I am including more resources in the ecosystem. I'm onboarding more talent, more South African local talent, more diverse environment to support the transformation journey that I'm embarking on, but also I'm bringing more digital innovative solution into the ecosystem on top of the platform that I have made available today.
Now, I can't imagine it's easy to penetrate this market. I mean, like you said, you're from Middle East, but every region has their own policies, they have their own procedures to follow, their own standards. And on top of that, it's also penetrating a market where people don't generally rely on digital payments. So how does that ecosystem feed, or how do you feed into that ecosystem?
So we are from the Middle East and Africa and focused on the Middle East and Africa. We got no business outside of that. We understand the dynamics in the market, the local dynamics, the regional dynamics, and also the continental dynamics that are specific to Africa. So if you talk about, you will take 2 data points and we will start taking these data points into practice. So number 1, the parallel economy today across the wider continent, approximately 34%. It means that no one has an access to it. It doesn't get channeled through the formal economy. It's not taxable. No one can see it. It's not transparent. My role today to enable part of that to come into the formal channel through the digital payment tools. How that will be enabled? It will be enabled to focus on the 80% underbanked population that exists in a continent like Africa, which is over 1.2 billion population. They are underserved. My role as a player in the digital payment space to create better value proposition, to enable the ecosystem to serve the client better, to create the economies of scale, which through my direct investment today, banks, fintech, financial institutions, MNOs can capitalize, and instead of repeating the investment, they can direct and channel their investment to be focused on their customers, their clients, and the customer experience.
Now, I can imagine that's the whole point of this, is to create that convenience, that education around this is what digital payments are. And you are a third party partnering up with some of the local banks. I mean, you've really partnered up with VodaPay, you've really partnered up with Access Bank. So how do you integrate all of that together with these local partners to help get your average consumer to transform onto a digital platform?
It's a brilliant point. And the reason I'm saying that, we are complementing the ecosystem. It's not competing forces anymore. Why? Because I see beyond the 20% penetration exists in the digital payment space today, the populations that have access to the channels, the formal banking channels. I need to include more. How can I create that? I am creating the required platforms, the infrastructure that will enable banks, that will enable fintechs, MNOs, financial institutions to easily integrate into my platform. I will enable them through the technology, through the operation, through the value-added services and the solution, for them to focus on getting more clients into the ecosystem. And doing so will enable me to partner with the best player in the value chain to create, for example, hyper-target loyalty solution, fraud prevention tool that is based on AI and machine learning, 3D Secure, which is for e-commerce and payments online with a biometric kind of security and safety. So it's not only convenient, it's not only catering for the masses, but also educating, making sure that people are more comfortable, they are feeling safe and secure to come along the journey with us, because it's a change process. Change process, you need to ensure that you are creating what is required for people to trust the process. They will take the first step, and the convenience part will kick in once they are into the process. So all of these elements coming together through partnership, through what we are doing, through collaboration, will ensure that more players exist. And as we spoke before, there are plenty of rooms for everyone to do what is required to ensure that we are serving the communities, we are serving the local economy, we are simplifying commerce, digital commerce. And again, it's not about the mission or the vision, it's more about the purpose. What is our purpose today? Being one of the key players in the digital payment space in Middle East and Africa, I have a purpose. My purpose is to simplify commerce, to ensure that I become relevant to the local economies. That's why I'm making such an investment in South Africa and in other regions as well, to continue embedding myself into the system, complementing the ecosystem, enlarging the value chain, making sure that all the learnings that happens across not only the Middle East and Africa, but across the globe, are being used, utilized, and applied here in South Africa and in the wider region.
Now, you touched on something just now. You talk about safety and security, and those are two key things that a lot of people do deal with, this online fraud and all that. So aside from that being a key challenge, from a South Africa perspective, what other infrastructural challenges do you see as an opportunity to overcome?
So, and I believe being in South Africa and Joburg today, no one can neglect the fact of load shedding, power grids. It's one of the key challenges that everyone talks about. But again, it is an opportunity in disguise. How is that? My platform focused on resilience. Resilience means that I have multiple layers to ensure that when any issue happens at one of the layers in one of the sites, I have a failover process. It's hot mirrored, so if there is a challenge, the failover will go to the secondary source of power, to the third source of power. But even if all of that doesn't cater and there is something dramatic happen, I have a DR site. So the platform, and this is the investment, is that part of it was to ensure that I am building a platform taking into consideration the local nuances, the challenges associated with the local deployments, by understanding exactly what kind of challenges exist today, might exist in the future. And I'm talking about South Africa today as the load shedding, but also if you take a wider look at the other parts of Africa, you have other challenges. You have something similar to the telcos, telecommunication lines. In some parts, they are not that stable. And what does it mean? It means that the transaction might not go through. And part of my commitment to my clients and subsequently for them to their consumer is you guarantee that the transaction will go through. Whether that happens through a physical card, debit, credit, or prepaid, or through your digital wallet or through your Momo application, any way, shape, or form, I guarantee that it will go through. But if the communication is not there, even the initiation of the transaction doesn't take place. So what do I do in this regard? I have created 4 layers of resilience in terms of the telco. Looking at everything exists within the digital payment space today, my point is I would like to be perceived, which I am today, the partner of choice that will cover holistically an end-to-end value chain associated with the digital payment.
I would like to thank my guest, Dr. Reda Helal, Group Managing Director of Processing for Africa. And that's it for today's episode, and until next time, it's goodbye.